for sure.
And how was that early days in America? Because the way we teach today was a little bit different back in those days. I remember when I arrived here, was a lot of basic techniques. Not many.
Only close guard and open guard, right?
Exactly, and the scissor sweep and the arm and the Americana from the mount. And how was that? How was the evolution of the teaching aspect from that time until today? What changed?
So I feel we didn't have a roadmap, and we had a dream without a vision. You know what I'm saying? So for instance, we had the dream, but the vision was not clear yet. The puzzle the pieces were not together, okay? So I figured being a student is one thing, being a teacher or an instructor is something else, you know? And when you're an instructor, your goal is to produce good students, to teach all you can. But if you don't have a roadmap, okay, how are we going to make a system here? Do I know what I'm going to teach today? Because the way it was random. I teach one thing today, I teach one thing tomorrow, and I let everybody teach whatever they want. So I really felt that the American students didn't have the luxury of having parents that could support them until they decided to leave the house. So anybody in Brazil can train 8 hours a day, whether they have a job or not, whether they go to college or not. So how can we make this consumable and it's still high quality? So I felt gradually, I didn't have the structure that I have now, but I started to plan, you know, what I'm going to teach. Plan what I'm going to teach and all that stuff. I think the techniques in themselves, Jean-Jacques, we all have our styles, we all have our roots, but I feel students learn at different pace. Some are more gifted than others. So my thing is I want to make the average above the average. I just want an average Joe to become the best student he or she can be, whether it's a world champion or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, even better if they are, but if they are not, they're still not going to miss what they can get from jiu-jitsu and maximize their potentials, you know. So I felt we didn't have any idea. Like our intro class back then was, you got a tough wrestler coming in, let's roll and go all out and see how many times I can tap you out to show you how good jiu-jitsu is. But then after a while, man, this is getting old. You know what I'm saying? I've had broken nose. I was bleeding different times. This guy tried to throw himself with me to the window. I'm like, this is becoming a liability here. There has to be an easier way. And then when the UFC happened and people started to come to learn jiu-jitsu because they wanted to learn, not just to test, they somewhat were understanding that jiu-jitsu was an important piece of the component. It became a little easier. And of course, today, you know, you don't have to say anything. Just share what you know on the mat.
Yeah.
But I think the evolution still is in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the Brazilian culture is more informal. High five, shake hands, not much. They don't want to be disrespectful. They just don't use anything that instills respect. There's no bowing or anything like that. So I feel the other martial arts had a lot to teach us in that regard, which unfortunately was open to it. Some of my students started to question when I told them to bow first time. But like anytime there's change, there will be resistance. So you're not fighting for the present, you're fighting for the future. Mm-hmm. So if it's going to cause a very positive impact, I'm okay losing some now so we can make a much greater impact later on.
Let me ask you this too, is there any few funny stories that you can share that happened to you with your cousins or brothers as growing up?
Oh my gosh, so many. Let's see here.